Hi, my name is Emily Ainelli. So here's the deal. Okay, so far so good. I'm working towards medical clearance. I already got it from my psychiatrist. I have it from my therapist, and I have it from my uh, the doctor who prescribes my hormones, uh, endocrinologist. So I have the letter from my endocrinologist, my psychiatrist, and my therapist, all supporting the male to female transgender bottom surgery, vaginoplasty, and so far so good. Um, I have some friends that are gonna help me in my recovery process, which is good. Obviously, I can't, they're gonna have their lives too, but they promised they'd be at least able to come at least once a week for the next couple of months. And I just got insurance approval, so the insurance is good. This is going to be my 5th attempt, I believe, for the surgery. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm a little nervous, but it's something that I've been wanting for a long time since I was young, teenage years. It's a little different now because I'm matured. I'm 58. Originally I wanted to have it at age 16, but that was an impossibility. So I'm 58. I'm unfortunately not working. I am disabled. I have depression, bipolar disorder. So I'm now going to realize that I will look consistent to how I feel. So I've always felt like a woman. I've always identified as a woman. As a young kid, I identified as a girl. I didn't tell many people through the years, only a few. And I came out at 51. So it's now I'm 58, so we're talking about 7 years ago. And it's been a journey, I must say. A lot has happened in the 7 years since I started my transition. My son is now a young man of 20. I don't know what his situation will develop into since he's not ready for college of any kind. And, it's most likely that he'll be in a group home. I've already informed all of his network who are taking care of him in providing the services that he's entitled to as a special needs adult. So we're working out a plan because I told them that my surgery date is September 10th and I'm going to need at least 4 days in the hospital, and then I'm going to need at least 2 months of recovery. And basically I've been the one going out with Matthew, taking him places, going to movies, taking him for car rides, and now I won't be able to do that. And we're talking from September 10th, October, November, into September 10th, October, November, yeah, possibly into as much as early December, believe it or not. I'm hoping that it will not take that long and that there won't be complications. I didn't come this far to just walk away from surgery. It's been postponed so many times, and I canceled it one time for a reason that I've discussed before, but simply I tried to go back to what I used to be because my son said he missed me on Father's Day a couple of years ago, and I got my hair cut short, then it was dyed back to a similar color to what it was originally, and then I had to wear men's clothes again, and it was horrible for me. 2 weeks of that, I couldn't deal with it. Told my psychiatrist, and I started back on my derailed journey. So when you go through a journey of transitioning, there are going to be bumps in the road. I've encountered many. I've encountered tragedy along the way. I've encountered hardships on the way, heartache on the way, loss of employment on the way, loss of friends on the way, loss of family relatives on the way. You get the point. So if you're thinking you're going to have surgery and you're going to transition and everything's going to be perfect, it's not. You're still going to be the same person, only now you're going to look more in line to what you thought. But if you're married, luckily if you are, you're gonna still, and you have kids, and your wife is still with you, you're still gonna have to work if you're not disabled. You're still going to have to pay a mortgage. You're still gonna have to go to your teacher, student, or your child teacher meetings. So all that's gonna be the same. In my case, where I am disabled, my debts aren't gonna go away. My mortgage payments are not gonna go away. My worries for my son are not gonna go away. I'm going to have the same problems that I have now, and when I'm out of the hospital after the surgery, those same problems will still be with me. The only difference is between now and then is that after the surgery, I will be anatomically more consistent to a female. And I can actually say that I will have what looks like a vagina. And the surgeon said he could make it 5 inches deep or with no depth at all. The difference is if it's no depth, then there's no need to dilate. If you are going to have depth, and he said normally it's 5 inches, then you will have to dilate for the rest of your life. So he asked me on a couple of occasions when I went to speak to him regarding the surgery, he asked me, are you planning to have penetrative sex? And I said no. But I said maybe. But I really meant no anyway. So he said then he would do the surgery and provide me 5 inches of depth. Because consistently with women, that's roughly that size within their natural vagina. The difference between a man, a trans man, a woman, a trans woman, is that their chromosomes are the same as what they were born. So naturally, even if I have surgery, male to female surgery, technically I'm still a man. I still have a prostate. I still can develop prostate problems or cancer. I won't have a uterus. I won't have ovaries. The only thing that I do have consistent to a woman is breast development from the hormones, a more feminine looking face because of the hormones, softer skin because of the hormones. The dressing, I've always dressed feminine when I started my transition, so that's not a big deal. And I will also be able to, if I chose to, which isn't even on my mind or on my radar screen, but in theory, after surgery and after healing and after dilating, it's conceivable that a transgender woman can now engage in sex like any other woman. So if a transgender woman has a boyfriend, I'm not referring to me, but I'm speaking in generalities. So if a transgender woman has a boyfriend, pre-surgery, the sex would be quite different. Post-surgery, the sex would be consistent to a man and a woman. Now, the woman who used to be a man and now is a woman, post-surgery, now has a vagina, and the man that knows her and treats her like any other woman can now have sex. They both can have sex. And they can also climax. They can also have excitement. I don't know what you call it, but when you, I don't know. But you know what I'm saying, when you have that kind of activity, you climax, right? It's like a big deal, you know? You hit the sweet spot. And that's the big difference between trans women post and pre. I've been pre-op since I came out at age 51, and now post-op, possibly, if everything goes right, I will be post-op on September 10th, 2019, which is less than 3 weeks away. I know once I'm in the hospital and I see the surgeon and he calms me down and he says, Emily, it's gonna be great, you'll be happy, everything is gonna be fine. And as they administer the anesthesia and I fall asleep, I'll be on the table for roughly 6 hours as they do their surgery of converting the penis into a vagina. And now you're going to ask me, how could that be? Well, I don't know the medical reasons. I also know that after post-surgery, you're still technically, in the case of a transgender woman, post-surgery, technically you're still a man, biologically, but emotionally, uh, gender-wise, psychological-wise, you're a woman. I'm a woman. Whether I'm pre-op or post-op, I'm still a woman. I was born male. I've lived it for 50 years. I'm happy because I had experience with my wife a little bit. We have a son. I wish things could be better in his case. I love my son. I love my wife. But I couldn't function anymore as a man for several reasons. One thing that really changed my whole perspective was my father's unfortunate suicide in 2009, and then my best friend's premature death in 2011. He actually helped me get through my dad's suicide. He was a very good friend. And when I went to his funeral and I saw his wife and little baby girl, and I saw him resting, I was devastated, because here's a friend that I used to see. We'd go out to lunch together, we'd celebrate together. When his wife gave birth, we had a party. When I worked in where I was the accountant from the CPA firm, visiting the company he worked at where he was the bookkeeper, we had a professional relationship that then became a personal friendship as well. So it was a very nice time when I was there when they were expecting their first baby. And I remember when they got to announce the news that his wife gave birth to a little baby girl, I went out and bought some little baby girl dresses and stuff, because I loved my friend Moses. He was great. He was a wonderful person. And if I came out back then, I know he would have accepted me. He was just a nice guy all around. And it was devastating to have to go and see him no longer living. You know, life is hard. But, you know, we have to go on. I had a lengthy conversation text-wise with my sister about this. And it seems that we're making progress, my sister and I, and my other sister as well. So I was showing anger issues towards my sisters, but now they seem to be okay. I mean, we all have problems. You know, my middle sister, I've always looked up to her, and my younger sister too. I think they're incredibly strong women. They've raised beautiful children. My middle sister, though, sadly lost her son, 26, to opioids overdose. Her other two children are doing well, you know. They're dealing. Her son died in 2016. So, it's only 3 years ago. I went to the cemetery with them so I could grieve. But we talked about life, and they knew from a young age that I was leaning towards being a girl. It was not a secret. Even my mom knew, and my dad had to know, but it was never discussed. And I'm happy that I did marry. I love my wife, and I love my son, so I am very happy. And I thought that I would escape this whole thing with transitioning. I thought that I would get through it if I just toughed it out like I did basically all my life. I figured if I'm married and then we have children, then everything will be fine and I don't have to worry about the dresses and the femininity and the wanting to be feminine, wanting to have surgery. I would think that would go away and I wouldn't find myself in the women's department again, buying intimate apparel, buying dresses, buying hair bows, getting my ears pierced. When I was a guy, I never even thought to get my ears pierced. So it was a big deal for me to get my ears pierced. It's little, you can't hardly even see it. I mean, I know women that have dangling earrings, even transgender women that have dangling earrings, and that's not my style, And I'm not overly, I am feminine, obviously, because I love to wear dresses. But I'm not like over the top with femininity. I guess what you could say, I guess you could say I'm a girly girl. But I'm kind of laid back, kind of girly girl, if you can, I'm sorry, if you can understand what I'm trying to say. But it's been a long time. I've been waiting for surgery for a long time. And now, as it draws closer, it's becoming more of a reality, especially when I got the paperwork that says it's approved. So this is really happening. And we're talking about September 10th. So we're talking about less than 3 weeks away. The only thing, though, is there's going to be a lot of maintenance post-surgery. The first week, basically, I'm going to be bandaged up after the procedure. I'm going to be laid up in the hospital for at least 4 days to a week. I'm going to be recovering at home for roughly 2 months, maybe a little longer. And basically, I'm going to need bed rest, so I can't be on my feet much. And I'm going to have to dilate. And it's going to hurt. I'm going to experience some bleeding. And it's going to be painful. And I have to be consistent with the dilation, because I don't want to take a risk of having that surgeon's work of creating a vagina from a penis to close up. Because my surgeon explained to me that when you have a wound, the natural body progression is that the body will act to heal that wound. And if you have a surgery that is for a vaginal cap canal, the body's still going to interpret that as a wound and is going to try to have it heal by closing up. So the surgeon has told me on my many visits that I need to be proactive in doing the dilation. If you want to see all about that stuff, I suggest you go on transgender girl videos who've already done that, because I have no clue what it's going to be like. I'm still pre-op. And I do know this, that they do explain the tediousness of dilation. They talk about the uncomfortability of the dilation. They talk about the need to do this on a regular basis, 3 times a day, and you're going to need to do it for the rest of your life. But as time goes by, the frequency will be less, but it's something that you will have to continue to do. So I'm not there yet, so I really can't say what it's going to be like. I don't even know what the surgery is going to be like. I don't know what the pain is going to be like. All I know is I know that there will be some pain. I don't know if it's going to be bearable or unbearable. And if it's unbearable, then they're going to give me pain medication to help me cope. If it's bearable, they'll still give me pain medication. But I know what I'm getting myself into, you know? And my therapist said, one of my therapists said, if you really want to do the surgery, you have to look at the people who've done the surgery and had regrets. You know, you can't just look at it on a one-sided way where everything is perfect, you know? You know, it's not going to be perfect. Some surgeries are going to be fine. They're going to look amazing. The post-surgery trans woman is going to look like an actual female with a vagina that you couldn't even tell if it was a real woman's or a trans woman's. But the reality is we're all different. We all come in different shapes and sizes. So what may be difficult for one trans woman may be more easier and tolerable for another trans woman. And I know some transgender women who already have had the surgery, and it seems to me that they're happy with the results. I don't go questioning them beyond that. I do know that some transgender women start having sex relationships with men who accept them, and some transgender women still stay with their wife, and some transgender women wind up having to divorce because the wife can't deal with it. And then those transgender women are kind of weighing it out. Am I interested more in women or guys? And they have to decide, now that they have a vagina, they would be limited in what kind of women would be interested in them. Obviously, lesbian women. And if they realize now that their body functions as a woman's body, though they will never get pregnant, they will never have a period, they will never ovulate, they will never menstruate. But if you look down there, you'll see a vagina, and you never see the insides of a woman's body, so how would you even know? So a guy conceivably could have sex with a transgender woman and not even know the difference. But the thing is, if you're going to involve a guy in a sexual relationship and he's young, I'm talking like 20s, mid-20s, early 30s, and the thing is that you have to be upfront and honest. Because let's say, for instance, this gentleman who you meet may assume that you're a woman, and then if he assumes you're a woman, he will assume that you and him could have sex hoping to get pregnant. And you know, as well as I know, that that's an impossibility. So you have to be upfront and honest if you're planning to have relationships with men, because you do not want to take a risk of this man who's maybe very masculine realizing that he had sex, even though you're a transgender woman. If he realizes that you used to be a man, your life could be in danger, you know. Who knows what could happen? The guy could flip out, and then he could strangle you to death. I'm being overdramatic right now, but these are realities that have happened within the transgender woman community. So this is a reality that we face. So if you're a transgender woman post-op and you want to have relationships with men and you want to have sex with men, you have to tell them what is up with you. And if they still love you and they don't let that bother them, then that's fine. But if you tell them and they say later, then you just let it go, because you don't want to have any kind of confrontational relationships with guys that go berserk, you know. As a transgender woman, you know before you started your transition, you had testosterone. And you know what testosterone does to your body. And now when you're a transgender woman, at the height of your transition, taking spironolactone, your testosterone levels go down consistent to a cisgender woman's levels. Because everyone has testosterone and everyone has estrogen. It's just that cisgender women have more estrogen than they have testosterone, and cisgender men have more testosterone than they have estrogen. So I hope I didn't confuse you, but you know what I'm saying. So as a transgender woman, you live the life that you wish to live. I'm married. I hope it works out. You know, if my wife leaves me, what can I do? I love her, but I can't hold her back. But we haven't had relations sexually for a long time because our son's autistic, and she was very worried that we could have had another autistic child. And raising an autistic child is very difficult. And I love my son, and I feel very bad for him with his situation, and I wish I could make it better, you know? I mean, I'd even give up the surgery if this would help him, but it's not. And I would be hurting, and he would still be hurting. So, as much as some people think I'm selfish doing this surgery, they don't understand what I've been through. And I'm not making it like I want you to pity me or feel sorry for me. I'm just stating a fact that I knew that I was different since age 3. I wound up trying and experimenting with my mother's clothing. My sister was too young, but as she grew, I would steal. I remember stealing one of her dresses one time. And I also played with my mother's clothes and put on her shoes, you know, and I found where her lipstick was. And I would play with the lipstick, trying to color my lips, and nail polish, I remember I found. So I was putting nail polish on. Basically, I was doing what little girls like to do. And here I am, a boy, wondering, what the hell am I doing? Why am I doing this? This isn't normal. Why do I want to wear a dress? Why do I want to paint my nails? Why do I want to wear lipstick? Why do I want to walk in my mother's shoes? I can't understand it. All I knew is that it made me feel good. I was happy for some strange reason. And I didn't know anything about it. All I knew was I was different. And it affected my life tremendously. I just was lucky that I got into things that kept my mind active and didn't concentrate 24/7 on this stuff. You know, but life goes on. I'm 58. I wanted to be a female ever since I was a kid. I wanted to have surgery in my late teens, mid-teens to late teens, like talking about 16 to 18. And I cross-dressed my whole life, basically. People interviewed me. Somebody wrote an article. If you look around, you may even find a robotic YouTube video about my story. I don't even know how come they do this robotic voice. But even I was kind of surprised. I found a video looking up my name, and it was a video I never did. And it was about my love for wedding dresses and going into the bridal gown shops and trying on trying on brides' dresses, pretending that I was getting married, you know. And it took me a lot of guts to do that. But the funny thing is, I was a very shy kid all throughout my younger days and even through adulthood. But the one thing that I was never shy about, never, was going into the women's department, rummaging through dresses, rummaging through the lingerie department, and rummaging through the swimsuit departments. It was easy for me. And I didn't care if they asked me, why are you buying these clothes? I could care less. All I wanted to do was try them on, make sure they fit. I had to be a little creative. So, because I was a guy, look like a guy, and here I have a dress or a bra or a swimsuit, I had to hide it, conceal it basically underneath men's shirts. So I would have the overlay of the man's shirt covering the female garments. So when I went into the dressing room, they never questioned it. So I never had a problem with that. And I would try it on. I'd look at the price tag and I said, if I can afford it, I'll buy it. If I can't, I'll put it back. And I so happened to find every now and then a dress that I liked within my price range, and I would buy it. And this was for my life, my whole life, even when I was married, even after Matthew was born, because I was transgender right from the start, even though I didn't know what it meant. I knew I was something that was not normal. I knew that I wanted to be a girl, and I don't know why, but I believe it was something in here that I had no control over. I sincerely believed that I was born this way. Just like that Lady Gaga song, "Baby, I was born this way." And that's the truth, you know? And I pretended my whole life, saying, no, I'm normal, I'm not a girl. You know, I did baseball, I did running, track, cross country, swimming. Oh no, I'm not a girl. I hang out with the guys, you know, I can play baseball just as good as any other guy. I can run a race and complete it. No way am I a girl. That's what I said, but that's not what I felt. So I lived with suppressing my feelings, lying, pretending. Nobody knew what was really going on with me. They just thought I was some shy, quiet, reserved guy, and they assumed that I was just a nice, quiet guy. And I was, to be honest with you, but I was still struggling with my gender. You know, every time I saw a pretty girl, I had a crush on her, and at the same time I wanted to look like her. So that's kind of like how I felt all throughout my life. And I've always been a feminine person, even though I never displayed it in public, other than when I did come out. I mean, you look at me now, I'm obviously feminine. But when I was a guy with a short haircut, wearing guys' shirts, guys' pants, like Dockers, I was a guy. Though I was conflicted. So I have a date, September 10th, 2019. I still have to have some laser done down below. For when they create the vagina, they want to make sure there's limited amount of hair. I am going to go for a pre-screening test just to make sure that I'm physically up to the surgery. And then I'm going to have a test on my kidneys because my endocrinologist is concerned about some readings, but she assured me that it shouldn't interfere with the surgery, and she said I can't let you go another attempt at doing surgery and then having to pull the plug. So she's assuring me that this shouldn't hold up the surgery for September 10th. And then I have one more meeting with my psychiatrist and my sociologist to just make sure I am mentally okay for the surgery, since I've been in a car accident recently and it has affected me. And the sociologist wants to see me, social worker, to make sure I have an adequate amount of people who are going to participate in my recovery process. And once all that is said and done and approved, and then I get this solution that I have to take the night before or the day before the surgery. It's just like when you go for a colonoscopy. You have to take this solution that tastes awful and mix it up with something like lemonade or water or whatever, and you drink it down over a period of hours, and it's really nasty, but it basically clears out your whole system, and that's necessary for when you do the surgery. They want to make sure you flush out your system. So I will be prescribed that the day before the surgery. And the same day, I'll get a phone call from the hospital, making sure I'm all aware of the time to be at the hospital, making sure I have all my ID and proof of, they'll have all the medical proof. I believe I'll need the insurance cards, and it's all spelled out in the paperwork, so I'm sure they have copies already. And they suggested I wear a dress to the hospital, because when I'm post-op and I'm ready to go home, be released, I will need to have something comfortable, because I'm going to have all of this bandaging stuff around me, and wearing pants isn't going to help. So that's fine with me, because I wear dresses anyway. I could wear a dress every day, even in the winter time. So that's my story right now. It looks promising. I'm going to have the surgery. I'm hoping that my son will be okay through this whole ordeal, because we won't be able to get out, really, do things like we do. So that's going to affect him and me. I hope that the recovery process takes shorter time than longer. I hope I can get back on my feet relatively soon, sooner than later. And I hope that there's no complications. And I hope that when I look down below after they take all the bandages off, I know it's going to be swollen for a while. And I have to get ready mentally to prepare myself to look down to see that I'm looking at something that I've always wanted to have. And I think I'm not sure what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to just cry or what. But when I look below after the surgery, when everything is taken off, and I see something that I never saw before, on my body. It's gonna be kind of cool, surreal, exciting, and traumatic. And I will then look at myself and say, Emily, you're a good person. You've been through a lot. You're trying your best to help your son. You're trying your best to be supportive of your wife. You're doing this surgery because this is who you are. And there's no need to be guilty. There's no need to crucify yourself. There's no need to persecute yourself. There's no need to explain yourself. This is who you are. This is how you were born. No matter how hard you tried to repress your feelings, to deny your feelings, they never went away. You knew it from being a 3-year-old that you were different. You knew that. Every time you looked at yourself in your mother's dresses, parading as if you were a princess, you were happy. You were smiling. You were glowing because you were doing what felt right for you. And you don't have to feel guilty about it. You don't ever have to think you're selfish or self-absorbed. You're doing what you know you have to do. If you have heart problems, you don't ignore that. You make an appointment to see the doctor. Well, the same should go for people who are transgender. Unfortunately, when I knew I was different, I suppressed it. I hid it. I was too afraid to tell anybody. But I think today's generation is much better because now, excuse me, kids are now telling their parents that they feel that they're really a girl if it's a boy who's identifying as a girl. They're coming out earlier and earlier, and they're stating that this is how they feel. And there's a lot of people in the religious fields that are saying, wait a second, step back here. You know, you're not going to force your child into changing their sex. You gotta let them grow and figure it all out. Lots of people are not for these early transitions, you know, because you got girls, transgender girls as young as 12 and possibly even younger than that, saying that they identify as female. And then the parents are in a dilemma. You know, they have to go out and seek counseling for their child and for themselves. They have to try to figure out, what do we do? I have a son who claims she is a girl and she wants to wear her sister's dresses. So what do we do? So they have to go to doctors, pediatric doctors basically, who know about transgender. They have to go through lots of screening, lots of testing, lots of interviews. The parents have to accompany them. They basically have to tell their whole story And it's a whole process, just like it is for us who are older and transitioning. And it seems to me that kids are getting younger and younger, saying, hey, look, I was born in the wrong body. This isn't a joke, this is reality. There is such a thing as transgender. And the thing that really bothers me is that we have people in our government who truly believe that there should be therapies that tell you that you should not transition, that you should stay the course in the gender you're born into. I forgot what that technique is called, but basically they're trying to convince you that you're not transgender and that this is a stage, but you'll get through it and you don't have to transition. And that's what happened to that poor girl, Leela Alcorn. They tried to do that reverse therapy, or whatever you call it. And it killed her because she knew she was transgender. And she knew she wanted to live as a girl. But unfortunately, not all parents are as compassionate to their children. Not everybody's parents are going to be like Jazz Jennings' parents are. Jazz Jennings' parents were very supportive. Confused in the beginning, questioning, hoping that it was just a phase. But as time went on for Jazz, they realized, no, this is not a phase. This is her reality. And they supported her. They stood up and they said, we need to do this. We need to have her be the girl that she knows she should be. And they even supported her through her surgery, which she had last year at age 17. So she's one of the youngest transgender girls to have surgery. I think the actual very youngest girl to have transgender surgery, male to female, is a girl from Germany who's a music artist. Her name escapes me, but it is becoming more common. And I'm excited. I've been waiting all my life basically for this. I am sad for my wife that I have to have her be part of this. I'm sad for my son because, look, I'm a father who wears dresses, who now has breasts, who wears hair bows and has long blonde hair, and now will have surgery to complete. Well, the completion is not really complete. I'm going to be transitioning basically for the rest of my life, but the surgery will be another part of that transition that has been completed. And after September 10th, if everything goes according to schedule and I show up at the hospital timely and my surgeons do the surgery, then I will be a post-op transgender woman. And the irony is I've identified as transgender now for a while, ever since I came out. And if I have the surgery, which I'm hoping for and I'm preparing for and it's scheduled for, I will be post-op, but I will still be a post-op transgender woman. But I've heard stories where transgender women pre-op would go to the support group meetings for transgender women, but a good number of them, after they went post-op, stopped going to those support group meetings for transgender women because all of a sudden they wanted to drop transgender and just say they're women. They wanted no association whatsoever with transgender. And to me, that's not right. To me, if I do have the surgery, which I'm most likely going to have, unless something crazy happens, like I die in a car accident, God forbid, because it almost happened 3 weeks ago. If everything goes according to plan, and I have the surgery and everything works fine, I will be a post-op transgender woman. And when I go back to the support group meetings, I will tell them now that I am post-op transgender. I'm a post-op transgender woman. And I'll get some applause. But the thing I'm trying to say is that I am not ashamed to admit that I am transgender, whether it's pre-op or post-op. I will always be transgender. I will always now be a post-op transgender woman. And you know what the funny thing is? I will also admit with pride that I'm also a father, a husband, and I was born male. I am not ashamed to say that. But in conversation, I'll just say I'm a transgender woman. I don't have to make a distinction between whether I'm pre-op or post-op. Doesn't really matter. All I have to do is say I'm a transgender woman. And maybe one day I'll just take off transgender and I'll just say I'm a woman. Who knows? But as of now, I'm a pre-op transgender woman. September 10th, after surgery, when I'm awakened and I'm not in pain, then I will say I'm a post-op transgender woman. And my dream is that when the doctors and nurses wake me up from the effects of the anesthesia and they say, Emily, the surgery is successful. Congratulations, you are now a woman. And I will be so relieved and happy because it's been one hell of a journey. And that journey is never going to end. It will be with me for the rest of my life. And I have to also make sure that my son is well taken care of and that we get him into a good place because I will not be here forever. And that's the reason why I'm doing this surgery, because I made a promise. I made a promise also for my son, and I'm disappointed. I'll tell you that after I tell you this. I made a promise that I will go through my transgender journey and I will complete the surgery at some point when I'm ready to and when it's approved. both medically and financially through the insurance. And I will live the rest of my life as a transgender woman. Post-op would be the ideal, and that's what's going to happen come September 10th. The other thing is, when my son was born, I made a promise to him that I would always be his father. I will always love him. I will always support him. I will do everything in my power to help him. And I will celebrate his successes. I will celebrate his accomplishments. I will stand behind him in his failures. I will give him all of the support he needs. And I will always be there for him. And I mean that. And even though I'm a transgender woman, pre-op or post-op really doesn't matter. I am still his father, and I will still love him, and I will always be his father, and I will do everything I can to help him have a good life as best he can, because that's what fathers are there to do, as well as mothers. We're there to help our children. Sure, I'm going to be thrilled after my surgery, but that's not going to change the fact that I'm a father to a beautiful son who I love and adore and will do anything for. That will never change. I'm not doing this surgery so I can have sex with men. I'm doing this surgery because this is what makes me feel true to who I am. I don't care if I ever have sex. I just want to be true to myself. And I want to make sure my son will be okay. And I want my wife to know that I still love her. And if she has to spread her wings because she can't deal with this anymore, then I have to let her spread her wings. But we still need to be in a team approach to helping Matthew get situated. And then we'll figure out all the other stuff. But for now, my surgery date is September 10th. I have some things to do between now and then. Once I'm in the hospital undergoing surgery, I'll be there for 4 days. So like September 10th, the first day, the day of surgery, the 11th, the 12th, the 13th, most likely the 14th. Now, I don't have a calendar in front of me, so I'm trying to figure out what actually is the day September 10th falls on. So, I don't know. I think it's a Tuesday, but I'm not sure. But anyway, it's gonna be like 4 days in the hospital and 3 months, on the max side, 3 months to recovery. Hopefully sooner than later. And that's it. So, I may make another video or two before the surgery, and when I'm up to it, I'll make a video after the surgery, kind of give you an idea what it's all about. Even though I'll be hopefully unconscious for the duration of the surgery. And I guess that's it. And I'll let you know. Hopefully it'll all go well. Thanks for being my supporters. And if you like, give me a thumbs up. I'm a good person, you know. Emily. Nelly. Of T-Girl Angel. Right? Love you guys. Thanks for your love and support.